Morning, everyone. My name is Jimmy McKinney. I'm the founder and CEO of McKinney X. And Boss Own is the social media channel for my company. And in this episode, I'm going to provide you some insight into what I use to track my earnings when I drove as an Uber driver. Give you some background. I retired in 2017, December 31st, and we moved out here in Vegas in 2018, yeah, around May. I was having difficulty selling the house that we owned in Virginia. As a matter of fact, still haven't sold the house. But moving over here required us to downsize and into an apartment. And so I basically had to develop a strategy to recover so that we could move out the apartment and buy a home. Now, I'm one of those guys that require some form of standard. Um, so, in order to keep myself focused and able to maintain a driven intent, so I developed this basic spreadsheet. You guys may have already developed one of these type mechanisms for yourself, but I just wanted to share this with you. This allowed me to be able to track um, the income we were receiving, as well as explain to lenders, you know, what kind of income we were earning as Uber drivers, so that I was reporting the information as accurately as possible when I was seeking loans for autos or personal loans, and eventually for the mortgage. So this is a basic Excel spreadsheet. I would put my name here, my wife's name was here, and it was a good Uber became a good option because, coming out here not familiar with the, non-entertainment side of Vegas required me to actually be a little bit more flexible. And Uber fit into that particular level of flexibility I needed. And of course, back in 2018, they were um, funded mostly by venture capitalists, and they were using all the mechanisms at their disposal to get people to join and drive. So they had all kinds of incentives, bonuses, and things of that nature. So back in 2018, you could actually make a decent living and not overexert yourself, meaning doing 12 and 20 hours. Now, there were some that were pushing themselves at hard because their objective was, to clearly accumulate as much money as fast as they can for whatever they need it for. I wanted to be able to establish some form of standard of tracking it so that I can be able to report it accurately and understand whether or not I need to make any kind of changes. And hopefully I'll explain that to you as we go on. So every night I would ask my wife, what did she earn? And I would put in my information, and we would do that every night. And I did that for um, about 4 years. And just for the sake of speeding this task up, I recorded it as it went, including when, the total that you got at the end of the day was including tips and any incentives that you qualified for. I would not recommend that you take out daily withdrawals from your Uber earnings because one, it is counterintuitive, doesn't allow you the ability to develop discipline and executing what you do. It doesn't establish a standard because you're not able to anticipate. Now, can you imagine that you worked for 3 days and then you took the money out, and when you worked until Sunday and took off Monday and Tuesday, you got your pay on Tuesday, but it didn't seem like you got all your money, but you're not recalling the fact that you withdrew 3 days of pay. And so it starts messing with you psychologically. So I basically set the standard that we only accepted the Uber disbursement when it was due, and that was every Tuesday, unless there was a holiday on the Monday, and then it would come out on a Wednesday. That provided us discipline, that provided us stability and predictability. So, as you can see here, this week reflects that we earned together $2,500. Now, back in the day when Uber was um, providing a lot of incentives, it was no surprise that we were bringing in over $2,200 a week, or sometimes you could actually make over $1,000 working Friday through Sunday. And therefore, Uber became a very attractive option for educators, bus drivers, and people of that nature that wanted to augment their income and would use the days that they had available, like a Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, to earn that additional income. And it was pretty lucrative at the time, and you could do that very successfully. So the numbers um, are somewhat conservative, but that I'm putting in here. But there were days we earned um, close to $500. But those days are pretty much gone. Now, as you see, entering in that information is something you do. This is another thing. When you enter in the first week, what you need to do is go scroll down to this section here, and you put in this column tracks the primary driver's information. So it averages that. I am showing 4 weeks prior to scrolling down here, but you would basically enter a one, and then your week one would show what the average is. But being that you've done 4 weeks, you need to go in and make sure that before you start the next week, that you go in and you show that this average that you're going to see by the end of your work week is going to reflect what you earned for the past week. So in this particular equation, I earned $1,073 on average for the 4 weeks, and my wife earned about $999, and that was a daily average of $345. Hourly, at working 40 hours a week during that same 6-day period, it came up to 24.99 for her and 26.83. But back in the day, you could literally do um, about 36 hours, and you would earn about $57 between the both of you for that week. For a 40-hour work week, which most people would typically do, and you would just say, okay, let's see how many hours. Now, the importance of this is this. When you go in, and if you've been working Uber and today's pace and earning rate, and you put in, I worked 50 hours, and you see that your 50 hours of work is turning into $19 or $21 an hour, you have to really do some self-reflecting. And that's the importance of this spreadsheet. It allows you to be able to do some self-reflecting and say, where is this where I need to be? Now, mind you, this is net income. So if you're driving a gas-powered vehicle, and like we were initially, we were spending about $250 of this net income on gas. I mean, I was going to the gas station every other day. And I started looking at these numbers. I'm like, wow, this is quite expensive. even though it looks like for this month we've made $8,291 between the both of us, still we're giving up what, $1,000 in gas. So basically, what I did was I basically did the analysis of whether or not changing to a electric vehicle would be more efficient because at the time we when we later were able to move out of the apartment and purchase a home after doing Uber for 2 years. Well, it was about 2.5 years, but we had 2 years of full time Schedule C income reported for Uber, paying the taxes on time, and we were able to use that income on the Schedule C after expenses because that's the way the lender does it. Even though you don't spend the large portion of deductions you get as an Uber driver using your vehicle, they still only use the um, the income that is the adjustable income after the deductions when formulating the amount of income you have coming in to apply towards your mortgage. Um, with that being said, it allowed us to be able to do that. When we purchased the house, we also was um, looking at with foresight getting solar panels put on the house, and that reduced our electrical bill from seriously from I think it was 370 to $425 a month in the summer months, which is a heck of a lot of months here in Vegas. Um, w- I mean the heat, the time that it's that hot when you have to run the air conditioning, that it became very advantageous to go ahead and get solar. And the solar dropped our bill to $13 a month. Now it's been raised a little bit because the energy providers just come to the realization that maybe there was too much of a deal, and so it's been slowly creeping up. But with that being said, the um, the panels that we put on the vehicle, we told the electric company that we're going to need the additional panels because we're going to purchase two electric vehicles, and we're going to need that kind of resource from solar. So when we did that, and our bill dropped, even when charging the vehicles twice a week, still came in at $13 a month after solar, that it became a no-brainer that that was the best decision we made because we literally saved about $1,200 a month in gas expenses by going electric. And the car payments for the electric vehicles was not more at the time than the not much more than the gas powered vehicle. So this is what this kind of spreadsheet does for you. It gives you that insight. And also, as you can see here, it allows you to be able to, with confidence, project, hey, we're going to bring in an annual income of $103,637 if we continue Ubering at the average pace that we're currently doing. Okay. Now, again, the number of hours is something that you need to track so that you can get a good idea as to whether or not this is something that you want to continue to do. Because if you're earning this amount and you're doing it with 50 hours committed, whereas in the past it was only 36 hours committed to earn the same amount of money, you have to do the analysis as whether or not this is where you need to stay or you need to, you know, think about moving on. But with that being said, the spreadsheet gives you that kind of data so that you can be able to form your own decisions. And then in this net income resources, this is a section where you add your net income. That means your paycheck after that is the amount of your paycheck from other sources that is deposited into your account. This just is a way of allowing you to be able to have a in your face view of what it is that you're bringing in, so that you can better manage or and program your expenditures. Um, and if you are making $1,250 as an instructor this year, and as a school teacher, you're making 2,100 net income. You know this is the net income that you have to spend each month, $12,041. Now, as an Uber driver, you know that you're getting net. As an instructor, as a or a school teacher, you know your net is after taxes. But in the Uber situation, you're getting paid net, and you have not paid taxes. You have not set it aside. It has not been deducted. So this is where I make the recommendation that you put away 28% of your earnings, your net earnings from Uber, into a reserve account. And I would say this reserve account needs to be something of the nature of a money market, or a premium savings account, or a money market mutual fund, somewhere where it's very liquid, but that you may earn more money than you would just keeping it in a savings account. And being that it would be a separate account, it would allow you to be able to ensure that you don't um, quickly access it until you actually need the resources from it to pay your taxes. And then as you have that money in there, waiting for your taxes, for waiting to pay your taxes, you can pay it through the quarterly periods, or you can wait till the end of the year when you file your return. Um, that Now, mind you, if you don't pay taxes, you could be subject to a penalty for not paying your taxes throughout the year. But with my experience, it's not something for you to stress out over. It's just something for you to be mindful of, because when you file your tax return, and the IRS says you didn't prepay any taxes, there may be a prepayment tax penalty for failure to pay. Most of the time, it's not that much. And if it's convenient for you to have access to that money, I would say, you know, assess the risk reward when you're making that decision. So, with that being said, then you have your net annual income. In this case, this was the spreadsheet that I was using in 2019. It allows you to get an idea of, this is the net income you actually have coming in the house. And this column here last year is, again, like I told you, I'm one of those guys that like to be able to assess whether or not I'm making progress, track creating efficiencies, things of that nature, improvements. So reflecting on last year, if you enter your previous year data, you're able to at least understand whether or not you have, made an increase in income and where it came in at, and how beneficial it was to increase your effort during doing Uber or any other freelance job. Now, mind you, this is a spreadsheet that can be used for any freelance or gig economy type work that you do. All you're doing is entering your daily earnings and not taking the earnings until the actual payout is from whatever platform. So if you're freelancing, um, it is easy for you to go and buy supplies and things of that nature at the end of the day. The challenge there, I implore you to understand, is that when you're not establishing a one period or a weekly 1 day period, that you take out your revenue, and that you have expenses uh, projected, that you end up not knowing clearly where you stand financially. So something like this allows you to establish that predictability, that stability that you need, so that you can start projecting whether or not your business is is effective, is working for you. Also, think about it like this: if you're entrepreneurially minded, if you're seeing and your freelance efforts that you're able to project a certain amount of income, then if you wanted to expand, you could then start looking at, okay, if I took on an apprentice and I provided him some basic resources or her and an opportunity and mentor, then I could basically um, like franchise them to be able to receive some kind of payout because you can prove that what you do is actually able to earn a certain amount of income for the individual, and therefore that could be an opportunity for you to start growing your freelance operation. Um, so just keep in mind that this spreadsheet is simple, but it also provides you a lot of insights into opportunities that could venture from it by having the knowledge of knowing what are the results of my effort. And that becomes very powerful. All right. Now, in this section here, this goes over the car mileage reporting. Now, on your tax return, it's going to ask you what was the total miles you had drove. So, in this particular area here, this is your start. This is January 1st. It doesn't matter whether or not you started Ubering now, but that date you start Ubering would be when you start, and that's when you record the mileage. But every January 1st needs to be the date that you, from that point on, that you start recording. This is my start mileage, and it is as of January 1st, right? So you put in the current mileage on your odometer, whether it's a new car or it's a car you currently own, and you put in the total amount of mileage that you end with. And this section here will provide the difference. And this is the difference of the total miles driven throughout the year. All right. Uber is going to provide you in their statement a section that's going to say, the total miles driven, but their mileage that they're calculating or providing you is from the pickup to the drop off of the customer within the app. The mileage difference that you're going to have between what Uber's reporting and what you have here is going to be the commuting mile. That's the commuting mile from your home to the location to pick up the customer, or from the last drop off to pick up the next customer. Now you can get an app to help you do this, but this is the least expensive, most um, reasonably reliable way of being able to report it, because you will be reporting based on actual factual data, the starting odometer mileage and the finishing odometer mileage on December the 31st. And that will be your difference. And that's the total miles you have driven that car. There can be no disputing that. Then what Uber reports, and the difference between what Uber reports and what you have recorded, is going to be the actual commuting mile. Now, the 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 challenge lies in is when you have to one vehicle and you use it for both Ubering and personal use. What you need to remind yourself when doing that is just understand how often you use your vehicle for personal use. You can develop an internal tracking mechanism. Just have a small notebook, and then record the miles like we used to do in the military when we started the vehicle, and then record the miles when we stopped. I mean, brought the vehicle back, and that would be the personal use mileage, and you then can have that personal use mileage data to be able to report it, or you can just basically make a reasonable assessment that you drove the vehicle 10% of the time of the 98,000 miles that you drove. I mean, excuse me, the 36,400 miles you drove. That's about 10%, about 3,600 miles for personal use, and you would have no problems. when filing your tax. So this is the importance of this section here. It's very simple, but it's very important because it allows you to be able to track your mileage for the year without having to pay a subscription to an app, at least until that time to where you feel that that's more of something that you can afford to do. But this allows you to be able to do that without having to worry about it. Okay. Um, the spreadsheet is like I said, highlighted per year, and this is 2026, and then I've already done 2027 for you. And if you want a copy of this, just send a email and put in the subject line um, Uber Excel request, and I will send you a copy of this. Send it to info at mckinney-x.com. That is mckinney-x.com. Let me see, I type it here. Info at mckinney-x.com. All right. Send it there with Uber XL in the subject line, and then I'll make sure you get a copy. All right. And I try to provide you the detail that I explained here so you remember. Of course, you can refer back to the video to check it out and get reminded of anything. Now, the last thing I'm gonna go over is how you update this calendar so that you guys won't get so frustrated and then just give up on the calendar. When you want to create another calendar for 2028, you just say it's going to click move or copy, and you say create a copy. All right, and you want that copy to be um, before the end, and say okay. So it's created another copy. All right, then you want to basically highlight this, double click and highlight, and put in the year that you're tracking with this spreadsheet. Now, when you look at 2027, December uh, would end, the 30th of December is going to be on a Sunday. And therefore, for 2028, one day of December is going to go into this week. All right. So basically, you're going to highlight this. And then when you get the 4 pointed arrows, you can left click, drag it forward. It's going to say there's data there. You're going to say, okay, no problem. All right. And then you're going to come to the end, and then you're going to get the plus sign and drag it. All right. And then you're going to just basically go in and change this data here. Now, for the following weeks, it's going to be a little bit more simpler. All right. Grab it. Okay. And then it starts filling in the dates for you chronologically. All right. Highlight, grab, pull forward. Okay. Plus sign, pull, drag. Then you make sure it's the 20th is the end date here. You start at 21st, drag it all the way to end, pull it forward. Okay. Come here and get the plus sign. And then boom, it's going to put it in the right order for you, chronological. Then you're going to go highlight, pull forward. Okay. And then now when it comes into the change of scenes or colors, you're going to have to make, the changes by just entering in the information, highlighting it here, basic. Go up here, find the matching color, click it, and then from this point forward, it's going to be pretty much the same way. Okay, drag it, and then we're going to fill it in chronological order. Start at 11th, drag it forward. Okay, pull it back. All right, start at 18th, highlight it, get your 4 arrows, pull it forward. Okay, and then your X and pull it back. Okay, let's see, show you how to make that change again. Pull it forward. Okay, pull it back. All right. Then you'll highlight this, find the color, boom. And then make those changes there. Okay, highlight it with the X, the X, I mean, the plus sign. And this will allow you to go ahead and change the spreadsheet to reflect the current year. And you'll be able to start out. So what I would recommend before you get started, that if you're um, one of those people like me, you want to have multiple years out, like 5 years, I would say just do the initial arduous work of realigning the dates to coincide with the year that the spreadsheet is for, so that you can already have that out the way. And then again, when you're starting your new year, you zero out so that you will be able to just simply enter the data as you need to for that week, um, as you begin to work. Then do not forget, so that you don't come and look at it and say, "Wow, man, those numbers look good or look bad." Make sure that you change this back to 1, so that you're working with the first week, and whatever number of hours that you're working, you make sure that you put the hours there so that you can get the proper average hour per week that you're earning. All right. Put it there for yourself and your spouse. And of course, the other thing I didn't make you aware of, that when it's reflecting your monthly income, it is doing it times 4. So it gets your average weekly, and it'll multiply by 4. The importance of that is that you, of course, there are some months that have more than 4 weeks in it, but this allows you to be able to provide a very consistent response when filling out applications for personal loans, auto loans, and for mortgages. You can, with confidence, say that this is the earnings that I am recording based on my actual net income received from Uber, and that reflects with confidence what you know is true is how much you earn, and that gives you the confidence to be able to go out and live your life and knowing that, okay, you know what, this thing works. Or you can sit there and say to yourself, well, it doesn't work, and I may need to sit here and make some changes. Okay, this is what this is designed for. There are more advanced mechanisms out there to use, and I, encourage you to use them. But to me, I didn't want to spend any more money on subscriptions or things of that nature. I want to have a very basic um, um, item that I could use to track my business operations, and that allows me to make some effective decisions. And this was the best option for me at the time. And I think it's a good option for anyone today that is doing freelance work or that's doing Uber and want to make some real sound financial decisions for themselves using a mechanism that's easy to fill out and track their income. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And of course, hit me up, come visit us at Boss Own. And if you need a financial plan to be put in place to ensure that you're meeting your financial objectives and goals, um, don't hesitate to look at joining our financial planning boot camp. A very good way to help provide you the discipline you need. As you can see, that's what I'm all about in making sure you achieve your financial goals. Thank you.